Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. It's your host, Stephen Schmidt, and I'm back at it again. If you are joining for your second, third, or 100th episode, welcome back. I know you're going to get a ton of value out of this as usual. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to it. Where you been? Glad you finally found us. This is about to be a regular listener on your podcast docket. I got to figure out a smoother way of saying that. I've only said it 100 times at this point, but I need to find a better way of saying that. I still can't figure it out. But before we get started, just remember at Investor Fuel, we help real estate professionals, real estate investors, as well as service providers 2 to 5x their businesses in order to build the businesses they've always wanted, in order to live the lives they've always dreamed of. And I got Jimmy Fuentes in the house today. Jimmy has gotten over $1 million in funding from banks, which he's used to build his real estate business. He's a consultant, basically helps people figure out how to get the money they need. So we're going to go into that, and we're going to go all over and talk about his experience and what he's done. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
So what's up? Thank you for inviting me.
You bet, man. Glad to have you here. So for these fine folks listening, can you just give us a little bit of a background on you and how you got started in the real estate game, how you got started in the funding space, and what got you to where you're at today?
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to keep it brief, but I was raised, my father always had a bunch of real estate, and he's always been self-employed, and he kind of always was that same goes by the beat of his own drum, or I forget how that saying goes, but he always lives life at his own terms. So he always had a bunch of real estate, and I always thought, I'm like, man, I want to have own real estate, but I always assumed you needed credit and you needed money to get into real estate. So I never per se started with real estate. I always figured, let me go build a business, let me make some money, and then invest that money into real estate. So I got started doing a marketing agency back when I was like 18 years old. I did that for about 10 years. I've sold and delivered pretty much any online marketing service you could imagine, from email marketing, e-com, web design, many chatbots, AI, CRMs, go high levels, whatever you could imagine. I've sold it and delivered it, paid ads. Towards the end of it though, I got a little bit burnt out of just dealing with small business owners. Hindsight 2020, I was just choosing the wrong clients, but you don't know what you don't know. So I kind of started figuring out, let me go pivot into my own business. I figured rather than be at the mercy of somebody else's business decisions, because I usually had two outcomes. I will either crush it for them and they'll be like, Jimmy, we need to cancel because we can't scale. We're like too busy. I'm like, all right, I guess. Awesome. I crushed it for you guys. Now I lost a client. The other option was I would send them a bunch of leads, for example, and then they were like, hey, Jimmy, I'm not making any money. I need to cancel. I'm like, well, are you like working the leads? Are you closing them? Are you calling them? They're like, what do you mean? And small business owners usually don't understand a proper sales cycle, follow-up, closing, and what have you. So whatever. I eventually pivoted into trying to start my own business that I could control A to Z. So I wasn't dependent on somebody else's business decision or lack of skills to scale and grow and hire.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And whatever, right? So I started looking around. I almost got into credit repair. I got into it for a little bit. I learned enough that it was an industry that I didn't want to get into. I already had a ton of credit experience myself. I had great credit score. I was able to get even some business funding. So I just thought it was a natural thing that I kind of gravitated towards. But that was like 6, 7 years ago. So I've been very deep into the credit world, the funding world, business funding, business credit, just learning all that on my own. And then I got even deeper once I thought I was going to start a business there. While I was in there, I realized that I didn't like the industry too much, and I just randomly saw a Facebook ad from Pace Morby that said, "Hey, you don't need any money, you don't need any credit to get into real estate." So I'm like, "Hey, what the heck am I doing? I'm doing all these businesses, all the everything just to get started in investing in real estate. Let me just bypass that and skip it." So that's how I got into real estate, and then from there I joined Subject 2, great mastermind and coaching and community. I can't speak highly enough of it, but from there, we basically tried every little thing. We always focused on marketing for deals in Central Florida. What we would do with the deal changed all the time. We kind of just try to make as much money from it, from the opportunity or the deal. So sometimes that meant we will wholesale it. Sometimes we will fix and flip it. Sometimes it will be a creative deal that we will keep. And most of the deals that we kept, we then usually defaulted to Airbnb at first when that was super hot and the market started shifting. So we started shifting into co-living, pass split, basically rent by the room. Never really done long-term rental just because these other strategies make way more money. Like we have a property that has 8 bedrooms and a net cash flow is about 2 to 3 grand. It probably makes like 8 grand a month. So hard to do that with a long-term tenant. But yeah, that's the cliff notes. That's my whole life journey, business journey, everything, how I got started and kind of, and then basically throughout that whole process, I was using business funding to fund all these deals. And a lot of my buddies kept asking me, "Hey, how are you getting all these deals done? You must have the biggest private money lenders in the world." And I'm like, I kind of do. I got JP Chase Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all these different banks. And they're like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, you're able to get business funding. And I will kind of walk them through. I helped a bunch of people for free. And super long story short, eventually we ended up pivoting our active income business, focusing on the business funding side where we help other investors get funding. And then we still invest in real estate. We still have our portfolio, but we no longer really do wholesaling or fix and flipping. We're just trying to focus now and just kind of do one thing. Because I'm great at doing a lot of things and squirrel brain and wholesaling, fix and flipping, Airbnb, co-living. Like I've learned my lesson. So now we're just kind of like just trying to focus on one thing and just trying to grow one business, and that's it.
You bet. So, man, what was that first deal like for you? Like when you realized, like, I don't got to use my own money to get into the real estate game, and you finally got that first deal. What was that deal like?
Um, it's interesting, right? Because that phrasing, "you don't need money," has like 10 different
Right.
caveats. You technically don't need money, but the less money you have, the more sweat equity you got to put in. I thankfully had funding before I got into real estate. So from day one, I was able to get all the different systems or pay for data, which costs a bunch of money. Skip tracing costs a bunch of money. I was able to hire VAs pretty quickly to do cold calling for us. So we were able to kind of start off a little bit differently than probably most because, again, we had the funding. Um, but but yeah, no, it was game changing. I remember my first deal came from a text blast that I did by accident. I was setting up the CRM and I meant to send it to like 500 people. And I think I by accident selected all the leads and I sent out like 10,000 texts all at once. And this was before A2P and all the different regulations and whatnot that now makes text freaking harder. But literally the lady was like, hey,
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
it's a piece of land. It owes taxes. If you pay the taxes, you can have it. I was like, sounds like a good deal to me. So it's funny because the deal actually taught me a lot of different things. The deal ended up having to go through probate, so I had to learn that whole process, find a good lawyer and whatnot. The piece of land wasn't big enough. She told me at the beginning, she's like, yeah, I never built on it because the land is not buildable. So I was like, I don't know. What do you mean it's not buildable? It's land. And she said something about it's because of the water. But I know the area very well because it was local to me. And I'm like, that area is very, it's always a well. Like, they don't have direct city water. It's always a well. I'm like, that don't sound legit. Couldn't find out she was half right. The land was not buildable, but it had nothing to do with the water. It's just the piece of land wasn't big enough. So I thought the deal was dead. I'm like, man, there goes that. And then I was looking at PropStream and I was looking at the piece of land on the Google Maps view. And when I was looking at it, there was one right next to it, the same exact size. So I was like, okay, if my piece of land is not buildable, their piece of land is not buildable. So long story short, I found that owner and I ended up getting that on the contract. And I basically sold them together as a package. It made the land buildable at that point. It was big enough. But tons of learnings on that deal. I had to learn about that, all kinds of different things. Probate. It was my first deal ever, so I had to even learn all the regular putting on the contract. I had to put two properties on two contracts at the same time, assigning the two properties on the one assignment. It was a bunch of different learning curves, but yeah, that was the first deal. It was eye-opening, to say the least.
So when you had that first deal under your belt and then moving on to like the second, third, fourth, etc., like what did you really take away from that first one that let you to not make some of those I wouldn't say mistakes, but like those lessons you learned on that first deal? What helped you on those next deals that you did?
The biggest lesson that I probably learned on that deal is to always trying to find a solution to a problem. And I'll explain myself what I mean. When I got that deal, I was this close of throwing it out because of the land not being buildable situation. And then I don't even remember how I got the idea. I saw the picture and whatever. I fixed that solution, or I fixed that problem with the solution of getting the other piece of land and whatever. I tackled that. Later down the line, as we opened title and everything started happening, I came to find out I had to go through probate. So mind you, at the time, I didn't want to invest a bunch of money on a piece of land that might not be buildable and whatnot, and it was just sketchy. So I was literally in my brain, in my CRM, I think I even marked it as deal lost, and I kind of was moving on. And I was talking to a buddy that had joined real estate as well, and he was just, look, you were just catching up. Like, hey, what you got going on? I'm like, oh, I got this deal. It almost happened, my first deal, but it was lost cause because XYZ. He's like, what do you mean? Like, that's easy. Just call this lawyer, and he actually charges you when the deal closes. So you don't even got to invest anything. And if the deal never closes, then I think you got to pay him like 100, 200 feet, $200 to $100, just like document fees, just to cover his costs. I was like, oh, wow. And that brought the deal back to life. And then I was able to basically get probate done, get everything done, the deal, putting it together, it worked. So long story short, I quickly learned on my first deal that although the solution is not always obvious, there's always a solution. And sometimes it is simpler than you might think. In my case, it was just like, hey, I purposely did not chase probate lawyers thinking that I would have to pay a bunch of money up front. I never even made a phone call to see if it's even possible to pay you on the back end. So, and just the concept of being creative, it's kind of something I guess pounded into the sub community. And it's not just with real estate deals, it's with all kinds of things in life. So anyways, that was the biggest lesson probably from that first deal.
Yeah, you bet. What would you say was a big turning point in your business for you?
Um, the first thing that came to mind when you asked me that was when we first dove deep into marketing, and more specifically data. We used to use all the recommended sources for data, so prop streams and
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I forget the other one, list source, I think, or I forget the name. But kind of find out after we actually joined REI SIF by Tyler Austin. We started using his software, and he's really good at marketing to the minute detail. And we basically learned about data at a deeper level and the differences of data. And long story short, we learned about county data. And just to give you the short cliff notes of the difference, we eventually switched to focusing on foreclosures because we found that to be the most obvious pain point. Sometimes you would call tire landlords and you never really knew if they were in pain. Foreclosure is obvious. It's always an obvious, like they're in pain. Like you're in foreclosure, you're about to lose your house. So I don't. It's like half of the four pillars is kind of like taken care of for me. But when Tyler taught us about county data, we basically learned that we used to call pre-foreclosures all the time, but we always would be like, "Yeah, I sold the house already. Sold the house already. Oh yeah, that deal is gone. Yeah, like yeah, you're too late." And we were like always like, "Man, I guess we just got to get better. We got to get faster." And kind of find out is because a lot of the data is usually outdated, meaning by the time that it shows up on PropStream, at least at the time that we were using PropStream, it will be 3 to 6 months late, and county data will be 3 to 6 months before. So once we started pulling county data, we were getting to those deals before anybody would really get to them, and that's where we really started getting a lot of traction, just because we were
Mm,
there first, so we were catching all the low hanging fruits.
yeah, 100%. Man, that's a brilliant strategy as well. How'd you come up with that?
I learned it from Tyler. He taught us about county data, and then we just implemented the systems to. We had a VA that would daily go to the county data and to the counties that we were marketing to and see what new foreclosure filings will come up, and that was really the name of the game for a while. I think now there might be a couple automated services or tools that might give you county data a lot easier, but for us it was a little bit painful. But painful in real estate is always good because the lazy people don't do it.
Mm,
So we
yeah,
just hire a VA, delegate it to a VA, and the VA will go through the pain every day in the mornings, finding the files and everything.
100%, man. So now, I mean, you've done a little bit of everything, right? Like you've done wholesale, fix and flip, sub twos, Airbnbs, co-living, you name it, right? So what is like your main strategy now?
So right now we paused the active real estate stuff. So we don't do wholesaling, we don't do fix and flips. We're not even marketing for deals. People still send me deals all the time just because I grew a decent
You were
sized
the
social
guy.
media. Yeah, I grew a decent sized social media. I'm pretty active on the local meetup, so a lot of people know me. And so people send me deals all the time, and I'm usually just passing them off to my buddies in real estate. Our focus
Because you're
right now is
primarily just
100%.
doing funding and consulting in that regard now, right?
Yeah, yeah. We still got the portfolio. Not many properties. We got seven. We have three Airbnbs and four co-living properties. Some of the co-living properties we self-manage, which is why I call it co-living. Some of them are on pad split, so it's kind of like a whole different beast within the co-living umbrella. Um, so that's kind of it. It's just four co-living properties, the Airbnb. So we still manage those. A lot of it is automated, really. Um, my business partner handles a little bit of the customer support, if you will, of dealing with like collecting rent here and there because the rent is collected. When I mean that is, I mean the people that didn't pay, or just like checking up on people that didn't pay. But usually, like rent collection is automated, Airbnb is automated, the cleanings is automated, maintenance is automated, everything's automated. So it's very low maintenance for us to continue managing those properties. But as far as real estate investing, those are our two strategies there, and then we just fully focus on building a funding company.
Sweet. So tell me a little bit more about the funding company. Like, at what point were you guys like doing everything and then realized, okay, I should probably just do this full time? Like, at what point did that happen?
That's a great question. It's funny because it was never like a super abrupt change. I actually had my full team working on real estate, and I kind of just took a side quest on my own, and I kind of disappeared. I disappeared from all the morning meetings and everything. I told my partner like, "Yo, I need you to take over this whole thing," um, because real estate is tough. It doesn't matter how good the systems are. You're always on a tough business. You're depending on people usually in distress, which is a whole can of worms, and it's just the marketing of it. I find it limiting. There's a lot of I come from marketing, so I know all the different nooks and crannies of marketing. And when it comes to real estate, there's but so much you could do. Usually, you're defaulted to texting, cold calling, direct mail. Paid ads is a very tough game. You better be a good closer, and whatnot. Like the concept of referrals doesn't really exist. You could maybe get referrals from real estate agents, but real estate agents don't really stay in the industry long enough to even be a significant referral partner. So it's just a weird industry overall, right? And whatever. We never grew as big as I wanted to. And everybody kept asking me about this funding thing, funding thing, funding thing. I'm like, all right, let me go rogue. I put together what they call a marketing offer in a simple Google Doc. I actually still use it to this day. I've yet to build a website. I'm a graphic designer, marketer, everything. I've went to school for building websites. I've yet to build a proper website for us. We got a landing page that looks somewhat decent, but you don't need that shit nowadays. You can make a lot of money without any of that stuff. But I went rogue. I tested it. I got so much traction that once I felt like the offer was validated, I went back to my partner. I'm like, hey, I think we should pivot into this. This is gonna be a more sustainable business for us. There's so many more potential buyers or deals. Like, we're no longer targeting these few foreclosures per week. We're now targeting the real estate industry. Technically, business funding applies to any business owner. Technically, it applies for any American can get business funding. So even the people that haven't started a business could get business funding fairly easily. We actually help people all the time that don't even have an LLC get set up. We have it so dialed in that it takes us an hour to take somebody that has nothing. Just Jimmy, I'm here, I want funding. It takes us an hour from A to Z to get them fully set up with everything they need to then go get funding. So it's just in marketing they call it a TAM, target addressable market. It's just a way bigger pool, way less risk. On a funding deal, we might be able to make the same amount of money that we would make on a wholesale deal, sometimes even on a fix and flip deal. Yet I don't have to go hold a whole $300,000 asset that if the market shifts, which at the time that we were making this pivot, the market was going haywire. There was the elections and then the inflation and the interest rate started going up. So a million different reasons, but that's why we switched.
So without having like a major digital presence for the funding and whatnot now, because you talk about like not needing a website and all those other things. So like, where do your leads come from for that now? How do you primarily drive the most of those to your business now?
Yeah. Usually social media. We get a lot of leads from Sub2 itself. And that's pretty much it. That's kept us busy thus far. We I got a lot of business beliefs that I don't want to get on my soapbox because I could be yapping forever. But I basically wanted to build a legit business that delivers on what it promises. So we've spent probably like the past year really dialing in our fulfillment processes, our backend systems. So when somebody signs up, they actually get a 10 out of 10 experience and they actually get what they wanted. And we try
Yeah.
to make it as done for you as possible. It's not a course, it's not coaching that we just tell you to go do things. Like, we do 99% of everything for you. And the only reason it's not 100 is because some banks don't let us sign the documents for you. So it's like, hey, we did everything. Here's the document, sign it, boom. Okay, here's the money. So we do as much as we can for you. Um, I say that to say that I've yet to even cranked and turned on marketing. We've been very like word of mouth, referrals, and we got a lot of leads from Sub 2. I share content there on how to get funding for free. And then usually I just shared a post the other day, like a week ago, and got probably 300 comments of people that were like raising their hand that they wanted something that I was offering. It was like a freebie. Basically, I put it together a newsletter that is called, I'm calling it temporary name, but it's called $1 Million Funding Strategies because I've been able to get over $1 million. So I'm just sharing kind of like my whole proprietary process that I came up with. It's a 9-step process. And I was sharing that for free. So basically over 300 people raised their hand like, hey, I'm interested. I want to learn more. And then out of there, they just go through our flow, our marketing flow, our newsletter, our nurturing sequences, and they just raise their hand. Whoever wants help, they could do it on their own, like anything else, or whoever kind of wants help and they just want us to do it for them, they raise their hand. So that's keeping us busy. But yeah, we've yet even started marketing.
Mm. So what's like the long-term vision for you?
My long-term vision is to help real estate investors basically fast track their investing journey. If there's one thing in real estate that is super hard or always a limiting factor, it's just money. It's just no way around it. Doesn't matter how rich you are. You could be Donald Trump. You're always raising capital. You could be Grant Cardone, Mr. Billionaire. He's still raising capital, right? Cardone Capital. So capital is always a limiting factor. So I really believe that we could help a lot of investors fast track their investing career, whether it's by allowing them to take on more opportunities or maybe invest in that marketing campaign they couldn't afford or that coaching they couldn't afford. I believe a lot in education and coaching and just fast tracking the knowledge gap there. So just helping a bunch of real estate investors get access to the capital they need to start or grow their business. That's really our mission. Um, yeah, that's my goal. My goal is to build a massive business um, that nets. My goal is to build a business that nets 20 million to 40 million a year. So depending how you break down the math, it might turn into $100 million company. So I got big goals, but we're just starting.
100%. Man, you also have an incredible level of discipline. Most people wouldn't know this about you, but you lost over 110 pounds in 2024. And do you think that there's a direct correlation to how much discipline you were able to build in your own personal life that's also translated into your business?
Um, Man, it's crazy because I never thought of myself of having crazy discipline. When it comes to business, I love business. Business is like when somebody asks you like, "What's your hobby outside of business?" Like my hobby outside of business is business.
Networking?
Not even networking. It's just business. It's
No,
watching YouTube
I get
videos,
it.
taking
You
more
get my point.
courses, and yeah, for sure. I'm kind of introverted a little bit, so I'm all right on the networking. But yeah, my hobby on business is business. That's my escape. It's more business. So for I don't need discipline for business. I could do that with no discipline. Fitness though, I always struggle with food, love food, eating, all that stuff. So, um, man, it's funny because when I used to be in the marketing world, a couple of my clients were fitness gurus and coaches. So I always knew what I was doing wrong. Like I was never one of those people that was like, I don't know why I'm fat. I knew exactly why I was fat. I knew I was overeating and I would love every second of it. Like it was never like, oh, I don't know why it was never a mystery. And every time that I would try to lose weight, I would always lose weight. I would lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and I would just get it back up. So, um, what really kind of made the shift for me is I started putting together a plan for me that didn't require discipline. That was kind of my secret. So it's funny. Um, I just every choice that I made had to be sustainable for a lifetime, which meant cardio. I don't like cardio, so I've yet to do a single minute of cardio. I don't do cardio, and I've lost 110 pounds without doing cardio. So that's one of them. Food. I love food, so I didn't want to do low carb. I didn't want to do keto. I could eat whatever I want, so I just focus on tracking my macros, tracking my calories. How can you lose weight without doing cardio? Well, you still got to burn calories. The other way of burning calories is by building muscle. I could build muscle, so I focus on building muscle. To build muscle, you need protein, so I started focusing on eating protein. That wasn't a big deal. Protein just means you could get to eat more meat, or you should focus on eating more meat. or taking more shakes, whatever, supplement, whatever. So I just started building all these different plans around making it the thing sustainable for me. And the last little thing that helped me, which is a little cheat code, I always leave it to the end because people think this is the reason I lost the weight. It helped me, but it was not the full reason. But I got the Ozempic shot. I'm not gonna lie. I cheated a little bit. And that shot has been super helpful. But to give you an idea, I've lost 130 pounds. I used to only take the shot. I started with just a shot and monitoring my diet. Once I lost 40 pounds, I hit a plateau. I hit a wall, and I was not losing weight. But I knew what was happening because I knew enough about fitness. And what happens is your body starts burning less calories. So the only way to really start losing weight past that plateau is you got to burn more calories or you got to eat less. I did not want to eat less. I knew what ramifications that had. So that's when I really started going to the gym, building muscle. And there's a lot more to it than just taking a shot. The shot does help. But if I had to tell you the secret to my success is just the muscle. Most people don't want to listen to it. They don't want to build the muscle, but muscle builds calorie. The more muscle you have, the more you can eat, basically. That's the way I explain it to people. If you want to eat more, my goal is to be able to eat more. Sure. That's how you make things sustainable for a lifetime, is not whittled down to a way that you can only eat 1,000 calories. Is like, can I eat 4,000 calories and not gain weight? That's the game that I play nowadays. Sure. So the more muscle I gain is just the more I get to eat. So I don't know, that's the way I trick my brain to it. So long-winded answer to your question, but the secret to discipline is tricking your brain to not have to use discipline.
Right.
I don't know. That's the way I would.
Tricking it to where you don't have to use discipline before it becomes a habit. Love it. Man, Jimmy, this has been great. If people want to connect with you for more, learn about what you're working on, where should they go for that?
Yeah, the best way is to text me. You can text me at 407-974-6300. And if you text me your email, I'll give you access to the $1 Million Funding Strategies newsletter, which will teach you how to get funding on your own. And if you ever need our help to get funding, you can just text me as well. So that's the best way to get a hold of me.
There you go, folks. Go connect with them for more. Hope you got enough value out of this episode as much as I did, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks again for being here, Jimmy.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.